Good morning, everyone. Today's topic is clinical chemistry autoanalyzer and quality control. So, here we'll be seeing what is automation, what an autoanalyzer is, what are the different types, their advantages, disadvantages, currently what is being used, what type of autoanalyzer are we using in clinical biochemistry lab, and what is quality control. So, this we'll be seeing today. So, first coming to automation means where there is maximum use of specimen processing equipments and reagent handling instruments to perform the laboratory test or to analyze the samples with minimum involvement of laboratory technologists. So this is automation. And what do you mean by autoanalyzer? Autoanalyzer works on basis of automation. Okay, so autoanalyzer, it was introduced to take care of increased workload primarily. Then this analyzes large number of specimen without comparable increase in laboratory staff. That is the advantage of this autoanalyzer. This works on automation. Okay, and this automation is a self-regulating process where the specimen which you have to analyze is pipetted out accurately. It is mixed with a particular volume of reagent and the results are displayed in the digital form. The displayed results can be taken print also. And coming to the types of autoanalyzer, these are the types. So basically there are two types, continuous flow analyzer and discrete autoanalyzer. In continuous we have single channel continuous flow analyzer and multiple channel continuous flow analyzer. In discrete we have fully automated and semi-automated. Again in fully we have batch analyzer and random access analyzer. Currently in our clinical lab we are using fully automated random access analyzer. Batch analyzers has been outdated. Single channel and multiple channel flow analyzer also have been outdated. Semi-automated, in some of the small labs they use where the workload is less, they make use of the semi-automated. Okay, so individual type we will see now. First type is continuous flow analyzer. So here continuous flow, so the samples and reagents are flown continuously and sequentially in the same analytical pathway, and it is separated by means of air bubbles. Okay, and this is mixed in a common path tubes, okay, which comes in a common pathway. And this continuous flow analyzer has probe to pipette out the sample, to take out the reagents, sampler to hold the samples, and mixing is done there, proportioning pump to guide the flow, dialyzer to obtain protein free filtrate, because sometimes the whole blood sample might interfere with the test results. So when the protein free filtrate is required, dialyzer is made use of. Heating bath, if any incubation is required, this is made use of. Then colorimeter to measure, then printer to take out the print out the results obtained. And what is the advantage of this type of analyzer is large number of specimen can be analyzed but for a particular test. Okay, and the results will be accurate and precise, and it can be done in short time also. But the disadvantage is only one type of analyte or one type of test can be done, and this occupies a large space. Okay, that is a disadvantage. Now coming to multiple channel continuous flow analyzer. So here 6 to 12 different tests can be done. Previously we saw continuous flow, only one type of test could have been done, whereas in multiple channel continuous flow analyzer 6 to 12 tests we can do. So these are the analyzer model names, Technicon SMA 660. So the 660 means 6 tests can be done, okay, and 60 specimens can be analyzed per hour. Then similarly one more model is a Technicon SMA 1260 where 12 tests can be done and 60 specimens can be analyzed per hour. The main disadvantage is, though number of tests is more here that we are analyzing, but it is not patient oriented, or the physician might not be interested in all the tests. Okay, he might be interested in 1 or 2 tests, and since the instrument is giving 6 to 12 tests, so that is not patient oriented, and this also occupied large space. Then coming to discrete analyzer, so this is one of the most sophisticated type of auto analyzer. So this coordinates with multiple operations into smoothly functioning system. Basic feature you have to know about this discrete auto analyzer, they are: first one is reagent and specimen are pipetted into cuvette, mixed, and the end product is recorded photometrically, and all types of reactions can be analyzed. See, some tests we are doing, it is based on endpoint analysis. Some assays are there, they are based on kinetic assay, like estimation of enzymes, so that is based on kinetic reaction. So endpoint, 2 point assay, kinetics, everything can be performed using this discrete analysis, discrete auto analyzer, and more than 100 tests can be done. So previously we saw either it was 1 or 6 to 12, but here in discrete auto analyzer more than 100 tests we can do, and this is economical also. Why? Because the reagent quantity which we are using is very minimal, it is in microliters, and patient wise report we can take. Suppose we analyze some 50 samples, and in that we want the result of particular patient, so we can directly enter the details and we can obtain patient wise report. And quality control can be done, both internal and external quality control. So what is quality control, we'll see later on. And results can be stored, whatever is analyzed it gets stored in the analyzer. Whenever we want we can just see or review the results. And apart from routine chemistry, special chemistry can also be done. So what is routine chemistry? Routine is the glucose, lipid profile, liver function, all these are routine chemistry investigations. Special chemistry means it has hormone analysis like thyroid profile, then vitamins can be assayed, vitamin D, B12, then fertility profile. All these tests come under special chemistry. Okay, both can be done. And finally it is user friendly. Okay, the auto analyzer easily you can handle. Next, coming to semi auto analyzer. So in discrete there were 2 classification, right? Semi auto analyzer and fully auto analyzer. So semi auto analyzer, the name itself is telling it is semi, means few initial steps the technician has to do by his own, and the remaining the analyzer does. So what all the technician has to do? Pipetting the reagents. So technician himself has to take the pipette, he has to pipette out the sample, pipette out the reagent, mix it, keep it in the incubator if any incubation is required, then he has to carry it, put it in the analyzer, then take the reading. So giving the reading and displaying the results and printing the result, recording the results and plotting the graph, all this is done by analyzer. Rest of the thing is done by technician. So it is semi auto analyzer. Then features of this semi auto analyzer is, again it is also economical. So around 200 to 500 microliter reagent is being used, small quantity of reagent is used. This is also user friendly. The software which is there in the semi auto analyzer is user friendly. Then all SOPs are stored. SOP means standard operating procedures. For each instrument we have SOP, for each test that we are doing. For glucose there is one SOP, for urea, creatinine, individual test we have SOP, standard operating procedure. So what will be there in that standard operating procedure is, so how we have to carry out the procedure, okay, how the results are obtained, and if any calculation is there, how we have to go about and how we have to report it. So all these details will be there in the SOPs. Then plot absorbance versus wavelength for selected range. This is also graph we can obtain. So we need not manually plot the graph. So the instrument itself will show the graph and it displays, and results can be printed also. And statistical analysis can also be done, standard deviation. Then there is plotting of Levy-Jennings chart. So Levy-Jennings chart we can put it in the analyzer. Okay, so based on our, in quality control I'll explain what is Levy-Jennings chart. Then we can perform immunoassays, then coagulation profile can be done, some drugs also can be analyzed. Then it also can work without power, so battery backup system is there. Okay, then coming to semi-auto analyzer, so the three different types of semi-auto analyzers are there. So this is based on, the usage is based on the workload of the lab. Small labs where the sample size, sample load is less, they make use of one model of semi-auto analyzer. So similar, like three semi-auto analyzers are there. So first type is, it has a 37-degree incubation point and it has 12 cuvette positions and one reading cuvette is there. Okay, this we can handle by manual operations. So examples, models for this type of semi analyzer is Minilab, Point 180 plus. These are the names of the analyzers. Then one more type of semi auto analyzer is, it has a metal thermo cuvette. This is operated by automatic aspiration and washed by peristaltic pump. So the aspiration, after the reagent and sample is mixed, once the reaction is over, to give out the reading, this mixture has to be aspirated, right? So that aspiration is automatic in this type. And washing is the washing of the flow pump and the cuvettes has to be rinsed and washed properly after each test, because to obtain accurate values, okay, and there should not be any interference. So that is also done by peristaltic pump. So examples for this type is Metrolab 1600 plus, Biotron BTR 810, all this. Then analyzer with triple cuvette system. There will be flow cell also, manual square, then manual round tube for coagulation. So separately, three types of cuvettes are there based on the type of the test, okay, that is made use of. So in detail it is not required. Examples are Erba Chem 5 Plus and Erba Chem Pro. So when you people come back, you can just visit the clinical lab and you can just see what model, what type of semi-auto analyzer is there. We have one semi-auto analyzer in our lab and we have fully auto analyzer also, hormone analyzer for special chemistry we have. So you can just go visit the lab and see what type of analyzers are there. Now coming to fully auto analyzer. So here the dispensing of reagent, sample, mixing, incubating, everything is done by the auto analyzer. You have to just keep the sample required, that's all. Okay, some investigations require, most of the investigation require serum sample. Few samples, few tests might require plasma sample. Okay, so based on that you have to just separate the sample and keep it, that's all. Then aspirating the sample, aspirating the reagent, mixing it in a cuvette, then incubation, then displaying the results, printing, everything is done by auto analyzers, fully auto analyzer. So additional features, so this performs all the things that a semi-auto analyzer does. Additional to that, it has sampler. What do you mean by sampler? So this is a place where it accommodates sample, standard, calibrator and quality control, QC. Okay, so everything can be accumulated in that. Standard, why do we require? To check if the test is working properly. Calibrator, if there is any wrong, anything, any defect in the test results, any variation, or if we have doubt with the analyzer, we calibrate it once. Okay, so that is done by calibrator. There will be a solution that is run in an instrument, then calibrator have some values. So if the instrument gives that value, exactly that value in that range, then it is calibrated properly. Then we can go ahead with the processing of sample. If there is any defect in this calibration, again we call up the biomedical engineers for to sort out the issue. Then quality control. See, we are keeping the sample, instrument is doing everything and it displays some value. How do we know that displayed result is accurate or it is true? That is done by quality control. Quality control is a known concentration of samples, okay, that we get from companies. Okay, we ourselves also can we can prepare, but to be accurate and precise, we order it and we get it from some companies. We have Randox, okay, we have different companies providing this QC materials. Okay, so from Roche we have, Randox we have, so that is run in the instrument, and the QC range we will be knowing in what range the instrument has to give the value for QC. If it is giving in that range, the instrument is working properly and there is no doubt on the patient report. Then programmable sample probes are there. Okay, here the sample volumes can be adjusted 3 microliter to 30 microliter. So in this range we can program it. Probes are there, and separate probes are there to pipette out sample, to pipette reagent also. And these have level sensors. Okay, sample insufficiency or if the reagent is over, the test can't be performed properly. So presence of sensors, we can see where the reagent is less, we can refill the reagent or we can replace it. If the sample is less, we can take it out and put required amount of sample. There is reagent carousel also. Various reagent containers can be kept. Okay, since more than 100 tests can be done, so all the reagents we can accumulate here. Whatever test we click on the system, the probe will take that reagent. Okay, if everything is required, so everything has to be kept. And reusable reaction cells will be there. Then programmable wash cycle. So I told you the washing, why it is important, so that is programmable. Then there is cuvette rinsing station. Okay, so detergent and deionized water is used for cleaning the cuvette to provide precise and reliable results. Okay, so in fully I told you there are batch analyzers and batch analyzers. So this has been outdated now. So most of the labs, they are not using only batch analyzer. We are using random access analyzer in fully only. Two types are there, no, batch and random access. Random access is made use of. So this batch analyzer, one type of test is done at a time. Okay, and sample you have to separate it. So what all sample require glucose analysis, you have to separate and keep. What all samples require urea, you have to separate. So at a time only one type of test can be done. Okay, and only specific reagent can be placed. So this has many disadvantages. So this is not being used. This has no random access analysis and this is not patient oriented also. So what is random access analysis? So random access analyzer means it performs the tests sequentially. There is random access mode. What is random access mode? It completes all the tests of one sample before going to the next sample. Okay, so that is random access mode. And sample orientation mode also is there, where completing greatest number of sample in shortest time, that is done. Then sequential mode is there, one type at a time. Okay, then when it finishes, it goes for another type. And there is cuvette disk with temperature control. Temperature for usually it will be 37 degree for incubation. Some might require high or low, so that is adjusted by this temperature control. Then there is reagent table to keep the reagents, single or double reagent. For glucose and all, only one reagent is made use of, GOD, POD. For some other tests we use of two reagents, R1 and R2. So all those can be accumulated in this. That is one advantage. Here also there is level sensor, sample and this thing, the reagent level sensor, and sample rack system to accumulate QC sample. So all the features what we saw about fully automated, everything is there here. and barcode identification. So this is very important in patient identification and right report dispatch. Okay, when the patient comes and walks into a hospital for some test, he is registered based on the details what he gives. Okay, so barcode is generated for individual patient and that is sent. So based on that, it is easier for us to sort out the results. Then continuous loading of sample. Okay, suppose now you get 5 samples, you put it in the analyzer, you need not wait for those 5 samples to be completed. In between, after you load the sample, once the testing process has been started, some more samples you receive, so you need not wait, you can just load these samples also. So once that 5 samples are finished, this also is carried out. Okay, so continuous loading of samples facility is there. Auto dilution facility is there in this analyzer. Auto dilution, why it is required? If any abnormal result we get out of the reference range, whether it is very low or it is high, so what do we do in that time? We need not take the sample and dilute, the instrument itself will dilute it. Okay, 1:2 or 1:5, 1:10 dilution it will take, and it will correlate with the previously obtained value. Sometimes with dilution we get accurate results. Okay, when there is very low or very high values, instrument will go for auto dilution. Then QC chart, quality control chart, daily chart and monthly chart is also plotted by the instrument itself. Then availability of ion standard electrode. Okay, so this, for the analysis of electrolytes we require this ISC. Okay, ion selective electrode. So separate electrolyte analyzer is there for the analysis of electrolytes, sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium and all. This is there in fully auto analyzer also. We can analyze these electrolytes in that also. Then benefits of automation: large number of samples can be tested in short time. Then variety of tests can be done. I told you, whether it is endpoint or kinetic, anything can be done. And many techniques are being used, like ELISA, chemiluminescence, turbidimetry. All these techniques, principles are applied in automation. And we can determine hormones, drug concentration, tumor markers, various antibodies concentration can be analyzed. Okay, and moreover, the methods performed in this automation, the results what we get are accurate, precise, they are sensitive and specific. So all these terminologies in the QC we will see. Okay, and auto analyzer, they are expensive. Okay, but they are cost effective because the amount of reagents we use are very low. Okay, this allows laboratories to compete with the larger workload without comparable increase in the laboratory staffs. Internal external quality control is there, which is implemented efficiently and effectively. And one main advantage of this auto analyzer is the laboratory staff members or the technician who is handling the specimen, he doesn't come in direct contact with the sample. Okay, biohazardous material. Okay, so hence working with this analyzer is very safe. Next we'll see about quality control. So I told you instruments, fully auto analyzers, they plot QC charts also. QC, quality control, is run. So what is quality? So we put the sample, right? So whatever results we are giving, it should satisfy the customer. Who is the customer for lab? They are the patients. Okay, so principles of quality assurance and standards for clinical chemistry we will be seeing. And what are pre-analytical, analytical, post-analytical errors? What are these terminologies? I'll explain. And what is accuracy, precision, specificity, sensitivity, and what is error? What is the percentage of error that is allowed? And reference values and interpretation. This will be seen. Okay, and what is quality control and why it is important? To meet the customer's expectation. Customers are patients, and exceeding the customer expectation and quality is superiority to competitors. Okay, this is fitness for use. So the report should be acceptable, it should be accessible, affordable, and should be appropriate. All these are quality. Quality assurance means overall program that ensures the final report reported by the laboratory are correct. Okay. And QC programs ensure the laboratory reports are accurate, reliable, and reproducible. Quality control means during each assay run, we verify the test whether it is working properly. So that is called quality control. Okay, it is a statistical process used to monitor and evaluate analytical process and produce the patient result. So there are two types of quality control: EQC, external quality control, and IQC, internal quality control. So what is external quality control? It is a system in which the performance of lab is assessed by peer lab group. Okay, some other lab will give some sample. Okay, this also we will order it from outside. So there is Christian Medical College which provides this external quality control material. They send a sample which will be there in the powder form, and they only will know the concentration of that. They will send to different labs the same sample. None of the labs know what is the concentration of that sample they are sending. So that we will convert into liquid form by using distilled water. Then we will analyze for various tests. Whatever results we are obtaining, we will upload in their website. Okay. After uploading, after they collect all the values of the same sample from different labs, then they give out the result. Then whatever we have uploaded and what the exact value is there, that we can take and compare with results. Okay, if we are accurate and precise with their expected values, then our analyzer is working properly and our report quality is good. So this is how we analyze. This is called external quality control. There is internal quality control. Internal means day to day, every day we run the QC. External, monthly once we do, that is sent to different lab, and after sending we get the result. Internal, so every day we have to run. This values are with us only. We can analyze every day whether our instrument is working properly, any problem with the analyzer. So all this we can analyze. So in quality assurance cycle, all these things are there. There is pre-analytical, analytical, and post-analytical. So what is pre-analytical? It is before the analysis. Okay. Before the analysis, what all comes? Patient preparation. Okay. Then sample collection, transporting of the sample, then labeling of the sample with proper tests. Okay. So all this comes in pre-analytical. Analytical, testing the value, QC. Okay, this comes under analytical. Post-analytical is once after the analysis, that is reporting, storing of the report, and right dispatch of report. That comes under post-analytical. So all these things has to be done properly. If there is any error with the pre-analytical process, it is called pre-analytical error. Any error in the analytical process, analytical error. Error in post-analytical, it is called post-analytical error. Okay. So what all comes under this we will see. See, pre-analytical or pre-examination, test ordering or order entry. Okay, ordering of the test has to be recorded properly. Then preparation of phlebotomy, draw list. So what test is asked, how the patient has to be prepared, how the drawing, sample drawing has to be done. So there should be a list for that. Then phlebotomy. Phlebotomy is drawing the sample or collection of sample. The collected sample should be labeled. Collection time has to be mentioned. Okay, then specimen accessioning and aliquoting. So preparation of specimen for analysis. and specimen tracking, either it has reached, whether it has reached correct lab, has the process started. Okay, so all this comes under pre-analytical. Analytical, manual work list and instrumentation handling or book list, then manual result entry and QC result validation, automated results through interface. Interface means, so in sophisticated hospitals or NABH accredited hospitals and all, the patient or the staff, lab doctors or nurses in the wards, they need not come to the lab to collect the report. There will be interface. So in the doctor's system or ward, there will be system, and patient himself can see the results through interface. Whatever is displayed in the analyzer's system, that gets interfaced with the other system also. This is called hospital information system or lab information system. So using this technique, the results are interfaced. Okay, then interfaces to lab automated systems also can be done. Then post analytical, so non-cumulating patient chart reports, cumulative patient charts report, then immediate report printing, electronic result inquiry, patient record results connection, billing, results interfacing with other system, all this comes under post analytical. Okay, few terminologies you have to know. So first is specificity. So under quality control, what is specificity? It is the ability of the test to identify those individuals without the values correctly. Okay, so true negative value is there, so that is divided by true negatives and false negative, so that is your specificity. And one more definition is there for specificity, which means specific reagent can be used for specific analysis. Example, hexokinase. Hexokinase can be used for many hexoses, right, which has 6 carbon atom, whereas glucokinase is specific only for glucose. Okay, similarly GOD, POD, so that analyzes only glucose. We get blood glucose value, not the blood sugar value. Okay, so that is specificity. What is sensitivity? Ability of the test to identify those patients with the disease correctly, that is sensitivity. So how sensitive the tests are. So then there is mean and standard deviation. Mean means to estimate the analyte's true value for the level of specific level of control. So mean we can get it by xn by n. So what is xn? Each value in the data set divided by number of values. Similar type where you calculate the mean, no, the same thing, different values. Suppose 10 values are there, so 10 values we add divided by number of values. Then standard deviation is there. What is standard deviation? A statistics that quantifies how close the numerical value is there. Okay, suppose for the glucose QC value is 100, and after analyzing, analyzer is showing 99. It is not deviated much. Okay, it is closer to 100. 99 is closer to 100. So how close is the result we have got? So that is called standard deviation. That is calculated by sigma xn minus x by 2 divided by n minus 1. S is standard deviation. Xn previously we have calculated the same thing. Number of mean. N is number of tests. What is accuracy? The closeness to the result. Okay, closeness to the true concentration of the analyte, that is accuracy. Precision is repeatability. Okay, so the same sample we are running 2 or 3 times, we are analyzing. So reproducibility should be there, and it should be close to the true value. Okay, how far it is repeating, how close is the result, so that is called precision. Reliability, it is the ability to maintain both precision and accurate. Okay, only when the result what we are getting is accurate and precise, it is reliable, right? Error is difference between the true result and the measure result. Okay, if the error in the analysis is large, there will be serious consequences, isn't it? The patient might undergo expensive or even dangerous medical treatment based on the incorrect laboratory report. Okay, so laboratory report should be accurate without errors or with minimal errors. So there are two types of errors: systematic error and random error. Systematic is also called as determinate error. Random error is called as indeterminate error. So determinate error means, the name determinate error implies that the cause of this type of error is found out, and then it can be avoided and corrected. This is called determinate. Okay, you can find out the error, where the error is happening, and you can sort it out also, correct also. That is called determinate error. What do you mean by random error? So random, there will be slight variation in the result. The error will be less in this kind of type of error. So where you can't correct it or it cannot be avoided, so minimum error will be there, that is random error. This is in nature. Okay, and finally coming to biological reference intervals. So this is also known as reference range. Okay, reference interval or normal range. Okay, so this reference range can depend on the primary samples which we are receiving and examination procedures used. The reference range for sodium ion is 135 to 145, for example I am telling. So this is got by analyzing a particular population, okay, which are presumed to be healthy male and female adults. Some type of population study we do in the location, and based on their analysis we set a reference range. Okay, so these value must represent the population served by the laboratory. In India also, different states, there is some variation with the laboratory values, normal ranges. Okay, so in lab to lab also few variations will be there, because those particular populations served are involved in this. And for example, the reference range in India is far more different from the other countries, because those population is, the population staying there is different, and here it is different. So many factors affect the population, right? So similarly the reference range also is different from laboratories. And requirement for this BRI, biological reference ranges, to interpret the measured test, okay, and the result by comparing with the biological reference range, to assess the person's or the patient's physiological function, or to diagnose some disease, or in the prognosis, or in the follow-up therapy. So on all these things, biological reference range plays an important role. And here are few reference ranges which you have to go through. So this is there in your manual also. So you have to go through all this reference range, and you have to remember this. And one point in QC which I have to tell is, so every day we are running internal quality control. External quality control, monthly once we are doing. That sample comes from external source. Okay, so every day what we are running, so that values are stored in the analyzer, and there is a graph which is plot. That graph is called as Levy-Jennings chart. In this chart itself we can analyze the standard deviation, okay, how far the measured result is from the true value. So that we can analyze using this Levy-Jennings chart. If QC is there, Levy-Jennings chart they will show, okay. So Levy-Jennings chart, many graphs are there. So those graphs you have to just know. So in detail it is not required, you have to just know the names, okay. So based on the graph only we will dispatch the report. There are many rules, Westgard rules we tell. So I want you all to make a note on this Levy-Jennings chart and Westgard rules. There is RS1 rule, okay, 4S rule, okay, many 1S rule, many rules are there. So what these rules are, these are made use to assess, okay, or to know our lab's quality, okay. If one day if the result is out of 2SD, it is a warning rule. In the graph we can analyze this, okay. When you look at the graph you can see, just know, okay. So if continuously if the measured value of the QC is out of range, we should not dispatch the results that day. We have to calibrate it, rerun the QC, then we have to rerun the samples also, then dispatch the report, okay. So in detail don't bother much, and all this what I have told you from the automation, auto analyzer types, everything till the biological reference range, you have to write it in a record, separate record you have to buy, 100 pages record you buy from the stationaries, okay. This demonstration experiment you put it in that, and next when we are taking practical demo we will inform in which record you have to write, okay. As of now this automation, auto analysis, and this QC, biological reference range, you have to put it in a separate 100 pages record, okay. I hope this is clear to you, okay. Thank you.